Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm impressed that you just mentioned that you are a Zabbix user for like 10 plus years, 15 years, yeah.
Oh no, it's the first I used. At the moment I'm working for NETWAYS, so I use Isinger, sorry.
Okay, maybe I can help you, yeah? Maybe I can help you. Yeah, I had a similar journey. I was, my name is Wolfgang Alper. You will find me in the internet. If you put in Wolfgang Alper Zabbix, then you should have some hits. And I'm using Zabbix for like 20 years now, so quite a while. I'm a certified trainer for 10 years. We are a premium partner of Zabbix for a very long time. Been the first one in Germany. And and I like Zabbix so much. And the talk is Zabbix powerful enterprise-grade monitoring driven by open source. But because you mentioned this 15-year thing, when giving these sort of talks, while it's always a little bit difficult to put all the important stuff within 13 minutes. I mean, you can book a training. Zabbix certified user is 1 day, specialist is 5 days, professional on top of this is additional 3 days, and you can get the expert. So there's plenty of stuff to tell. So I will try to make it short, put it in 30 minutes, and will give you an idea about why I think that that this is a cool solution. So first of all, Zabbix is open source. There's no community edition and professional edition. It's just one Zabbix solution. And it's designed to monitor 1 million of metrics in real time. I, for myself, have experience in real-world setups, in real-world environments, up to 50,000 plus host systems monitored by one Zabbix instance and by millions of metrics that are collected there. So that is where I'm specialized in. The largest number of metrics collected by one host from a customer we are working with, the number is 15,000. So they're getting 50,000 metrics just from one host. That is, I mean, these are the edge numbers. Everyone likes to tell these big numbers. So it's really designed to work in this area. The slide says over 30,000 installations worldwide. I guess there are some more, but these are tracked using the RPM repositories from Zabbix, and they do not count the standard installation if you're using Debian, Ubuntu, or Red Hat Enterprise. So what can you monitor with Zabbix? I mean, first of all, you can monitor all the stuff you would expect, like failures, like low disk space, high CPU usage, low memory, you name it. I mean, it's a network monitoring conference, so I guess everyone is familiar with this. But beside that, you can use monitoring and Zabbix, of course, for other areas as well. The slide says something like access control, KPI monitoring, just to give an idea. Or we have a customer there, and the customer is running web shops worldwide in some web shop clusters for different companies. And what they do is they use Zabbix as a sort of an umbrella monitoring. So they pick just very specific metrics and, in fact, KPIs, and work with those KPIs within Zabbix. So they do not do the entire monitoring of those web shops, but they're using the important KPIs and present them in Zabbix to the user base. Yeah, capacity monitoring, a good example would be virtual infrastructure, VMware, for example, and and configuration monitoring, inventory monitoring, and these days, especially important, security monitoring. So can use Zabbix in all these areas, but it can use other software as well. Yeah, what is the architecture? What is the idea of Zabbix? What are the number of components you need to install to get it up and running, the minimum number of components. So first of all, you need the Zabbix server itself. And the Zabbix server is a component. It runs on Linux typically, but it can run on any Unix-like operating system. It does not work on Windows though. So it's a core process, and that is responsible for data collection and also for data analysis and for notification and so forth. So that is the core process. And it's worth mentioning that Zabbix has support for built-in high availability cluster setup. So you don't need to set up Pacemaker or something like that, or CoreSync. You can use Zabbix natively. So it's aware of this. Then we need a database, and the database is to store the configuration. So any configuration is done in a web front end, and it's stored in a database. That makes things so much easier. So you don't have to set up checks or items. The term check is not used here. I will come to this in a minute. But the values you would like to get, the metrics you would like to get, you don't have to configure them on the agent, for example. You can do it on the web front end, and then the web front end makes sure that all these metrics that you have defined and specified, that they are collected. Yeah, we need a database for this. And we support PostgreSQL with or without timescale.db. Timescale.db is a good choice because it allows you to to compress and store time series data in a very efficient way. So you can use PostgreSQL with and without timescale.db. We also support MySQL and, for example, MariaDB and so forth. And you can, of course, also use Oracle Database Server if you would like to. Yeah, and the third component that is important is the front end, the web front end. It's a PHP-based web front end, and it's used for configuration management and to present the data to get graphs and so forth. So I would like to spend a little bit on this slide because I think that gives you at least the idea behind Zabbix, and that was one reason why, for example, I committed myself to use Zabbix. And the reason is that Zabbix uses something in developer speak, separation of concerns, which means you have a process, a task, and that is perfect to do one thing, and then you have another process and another task, and it's doing something else, but they are both perfect in what they're doing. And Zabbix is designed to work in a way that we have a process or processes that are responsible to do data gathering. So we collect the data. So for example, temperature equals to 27 degrees. That would be a measurement, or free disk space or ping would also be a measurement, whether it replies 1 or 0. And that's it. That's the data gathering part of it. And this data gathering definition, so what I'm going to measure in Zabbix, that is called an item. Yeah, and sometimes you will hear people saying something about checks, and usually with a check they associate something like I do a measurement, and also I define, for example, the threshold, like if the temperature is above 27 degrees, then it should send an alert. So they mix this up. That is different in Zabbix. In Zabbix, you have data gathering. And you do this with items in Zabbix, and then you have data storage. And you would say, why put you data storage on this box, on this slide? I mean, of course, the data will be stored, and that's correct. But Zabbix has a special feature which is called data preprocessing. And data preprocessing basically allows you to manipulate the data that you have collected with a collector process before it's actually processed in the monitoring system by itself. And some slides, or within a minute, you will see some slides where I can explain a little bit better why this is a good idea. And then we have problem detection in Zabbix. And problem detection basically means I've made a measurement, like, for example, temperature equals to 22 degrees. And the problem would start if the temperature is like above 27 degrees, for example. I mean, you're used to that one. And these examples are great also when teaching network monitoring. But in reality, it's a little bit different. For example, do you want to fire a trigger immediately after the temperature reached 27 degrees? Or would you like to wait like for 15 minutes? And if after 15 minutes the temperature is above 27 degrees, you would fire? Or are you referring to the last 5 measurements and say 5 in a row need to be above 27 degrees? Yeah. So there are a lot of options and possibilities, and problem detection in Zabbix covers all of them. Also, because problem detection is something separate from the data collection part, we can combine things. And an example would be, imagine you have a mail server service, and you have 2 mail servers that are responsible to provide the mail server service. I mean, that's a very simple example. Now, if one mail server fails, then you have an issue, but if 2 of them, or both of them fail, then you have a big issue. And because problem detection in Zabbix is separated from data collection, what we can do is we can refer to a problem by referring to 2 different systems and to 2 different metrics. In fact, we can refer to 10 systems and 10 metrics, to any number of metrics. So we can combine this in a way that suits our needs. And that is a very powerful feature. And this example, what I mentioned, like the last 5 measurements or the last 5 minutes or the average or the minimum, over and so forth, in Zabbix these are called trigger functions. And the simplest trigger function is last, which refers to the last measurement. So that's basically the simplest one. And there are hundreds of trigger functions for any case. Like you can use time of day, and there are many of them. Okay, so we covered data gathering, data storage, problem detection, and now we come to alerting and escalation. Now, if a problem is detected, like the temperature is above 27 degrees, that doesn't define how we would like to get a notification, or if we would like to get a notification at all. It doesn't even, for example, define in itself the severity maybe. So alerting and escalation is also a different process, and you can set up rules to define how you would like to get alerting and escalation. And I'm mentioning alerting and escalation with a focus on escalation, with an emphasis on escalation, because alerting would be something like temperature is above 27 degrees. But maybe you would like to get a notification every 2 hours from that time, just saying that the problem still exists. Or maybe you don't want to get further escalation if someone is working on the problem, but the problem persists. Or maybe you would like to get an escalation in the sense of it should be escalated to a different support team or to a vendor or whatever. And Zabbix supports all of this, and that is part of the alerting escalation thing. And finally, after we have gathered data, we have stored data, we have analyzed the data, we have sent messages, visualization is part of Zabbix, and it's provided by the Zabbix front end. Yeah? So I spent nearly 1/3 of my entire time for the speech just for the first 5 slides. Yeah? There are 30 and a little bit of them, so I need to hurry up a little bit. But that was important. Yeah, distributed monitoring, make it real quick. Zabbix has a component called Zabbix Proxy. Zabbix Proxy is not mandatory to install, but it's very, very useful, and it allows you to monitor remote sites. And the funny part of the Zabbix proxies is that it's so easy to deploy. So basically, we are using this. We are providing software monitoring as a service to our clients, and we're using those Zabbix proxies. We install them on site as a virtual machine, as a dedicated bare metal installation, as a Raspberry Pi. It really depends on the size of the installation. And then the Zabbix proxy can connect to our Zabbix server. It pulls the configuration that we have defined using our front end, and it starts doing the monitoring. So not our Zabbix server and the data centers connecting to our client, but the Zabbix proxy in their local area network. And that is so much fun, and it works really, really great. It also allows you to offload stuff from the Zabbix server. For example, let's say you have close to 1,000 core switches in your network environment, and you pass the load to monitor those switches to a Zabbix proxy, although they are in the same network. So the Zabbix server has less work, and the proxy will work for them. So you can use it for scaling as well. So here are the key benefits on the slide. It says distributed monitoring allows data compression, allows monitoring behind firewalls and DMZs, can collect data even in the case of network issues with a Zabbix server. So if the Zabbix server is not available, the Zabbix proxy will still continue to collect the data, and once a connection is established, it will forward the stuff. You can run what is called custom scripts on monitoring hosts. That's a really cool feature. The alerting feature in Zabbix does not only alert something in the sense of it sends you an email, but it also allows you to execute remote scripts if you have this set up properly. And you can even run those remote scripts on remote machines using a Zabbix proxy. So for example, if you would take my Raspberry Pi Zabbix proxy installation at home and you would allow the configuration in the sense, then it could execute remote hooks there if you give the permission. So that is Zabbix proxies in a nutshell. So if you would like to deploy it, it's really easy. You install Zabbix in a couple of minutes. Last slide will show you how. You can use out-of-the-box templates, monitoring templates for most popular platforms, which includes firewalls, switches, operating systems, applications, and so forth. And any Zabbix component can be deployed using Linux packages for your favorite Linux distribution, Docker containers, cloud images, or you can compile it from by yourself from the source code. So another important point for Zabbix is, and I think that refers to many open source solutions, though, is that you stay in control of your data. So there's all the data that are collected are yours. There's nothing sent to Zabbix or any other third party. That is maybe important. Yeah, so let's walk a little bit into some details about data collection. Basically, we have two ways to collect data. One is agentless, which means there's no specific software component installed on a device, for example, and this refers to ICMP pings, to simple port checks. A port is open, for example, SNMP queries, HTTP requests, IPMI, and SSH checks. SSH checks are really, really useful. SSH checks in Zabbix means Zabbix will log in to a system and then will execute a command, and then the result of that command will be treated as the value of that metric. And together with this pre-processing is a very powerful solution. So, for example, if you have wireless LAN controller, for example, from FortiGate, you can execute a command to get a list of all the associated access points, and then you get an output, and you can take this output as a value, as a metric in Zabbix, use low-level discovery, I will cover that later, and automatically create all the access points in Zabbix with all the metrics and all the stuff. So it's really, really nice. Yeah, database monitoring, Java application monitoring, web APIs, and HTTP endpoints has become more and more important over the last years, I can say. Custom metrics and scripts. One reason why Zabbix is so successful is you can use custom scripts, shell scripts, bash scripts, PowerShell scripts, whatever. Aggregation and calculator checks refers to you already have data collected and now you're using operations to put them together, like netef in plus netef out is net total. That would be an example for that one. Or maybe you would aggregate the number of queries over your MySQL database cluster. That would be another example. VMware monitoring, web monitoring, and Kubernetes monitoring. These are examples for agentless monitoring in Zabbix. The other way to do is using the Zabbix agent. The Zabbix agent is available for many operating systems. Most important Linux, Windows, but also Mac, for example. Even IX is available, and you can then collect data on operating system level. It's very sophisticated. It supports native features of the operating system, like, for example, in Windows you have access to WMI, you have access to performance counter. In Linux you have access to system control D and to enumerate services, so it's really, really smart. Yeah, pre-processing. Pre-processing is an important part of Zabbix. Basically, the idea, or when it started, the problem was, let's say you have a storage system, you can measure the temperature using SNMP, and as a result, you get back 12 blank C, yeah? So this is a string, that is not a value. So you can't check if 12 blank C is greater than whatever number, because it's not a number, it's a string. So what you can do is you can fall back to a script, can do some grep magic and convert it this way, that will work. But the better way to do it in Zabbix is using pre-processing steps. And there are different pre-processing operators. And we see here, for example, ytrim, turn to 12. If you have JSON, you can just pass a JSON string and a JPass query, and then you get the result back. And of course, you have regex. And the other prominent members in this pre-processing area are JavaScript items, which means you can define JavaScript functions in Zabbix as a preprocessor. So you pass a value to a function as value, and then you return something as value. And in the middle, you can do whatever you would like to. You can even ask external HTTP APIs and so forth. Throttling is nice. Throttling can discard values if the value is the same. So let's say you have an ICMP ping, and you do ping, 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 ping every minute, and always you get back 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then you create a lot of load. You do it for many systems, and you can say, you know what, discard the value if it's the same as before. Just discard it, yeah? But do a checkpoint every 5 minutes. So what that means is you do a measurement effectively every minute, but you only store data every 5 minutes, which reduces a lot of load, yeah? If you have a large environment. And finally, one worth to mention is Prometheus support. You can directly use Prometheus endpoints in Zabbix. There's a transformer called Prometheus pattern, and you can work from there. So it's native built-in. Very nice. Use it a lot. Problem detection. You see, I'm trying to hurry up because I have still to cover some slides. Problem detection. Problem detection, as I said, flexible problem definitions, multiple severities. Event correlation possible. Event in Zabbix means if a trigger changes state, like I'm here, I'm okay, then I went into problem state, and anytime later I'm back into okay state, then we have two created events. One is a problem event and one is an okay event, and these events can be correlated, so to support you in what is called root cause analysis. So you don't have to deal with many problems because Zabbix figures out that all of them are based on one root cause. Anomaly detection is based in the sense of that you can see that the system behaves differently this week as it did last week. Baseline monitoring and data trend analysis. I'm hurry up here. Trend prediction, nice feature in Zabbix. Basically, you can ask the question, say, hey Zabbix, based on the data that you measured so far, can you give me an estimate for what will the value be in 1 week? Or you say, hey Zabbix, based on the values you have collected so far, when do you think we will reach that specific value? So how long does it take? Yeah? Is this? Thank you so much. Okay. Problem detection. Alerting and notifications. 8 minutes left. So alerting and notifications. You can, in Zabbix we have a term is called media, and the media defines how you would like to get notified. Like email would be a media, SMS would be a media, and there are many medias available. Zabbix has a sort of plugin system which is based on XML files, XML definitions, so you can just download a new media if you would like to. We have also a webhook media, a generic webhook media and a script media. So what you can do is you can out of the box install team integrations in Microsoft Teams, for example, or you can put in Jira notifications that alerts are sent to your Jira system. So very, very simple, very easy. And it supports also escalations, not only notifications. So you can say, if the problem persists after 4 hours, I escalate it to someone else, to a different team, to a different level, but only if it's not dealt with. This is an example, ITSM and messaging system integrations. On the Zabbix website, there's a huge poster with integrations, and you just click and download and you use it. Very simple. Out-of-the-box integrations for solutions like Jira, Service Desk, and so on are available directly. Discovery and automation, 7 minutes left. Okay, so this one is about automating stuff in Zabbix. And basically what you would like to do is you would like to add automatically systems in Zabbix, or you would like to add changes to a system. For example, if you monitor a VPN concentrator, then you might want to create metrics automatically for each tunnel that's been created and used. There will be something. Or services that are installed and running on a Windows system. So we have here network discovery, which allows to discover hosts on the network. It does a network scan. You define how it scans and what it's looking for. And then based on the result, you can assign automatically monitoring templates. You can ask Zabbix to, set up the system in your monitoring environment. And also you can ask Zabbix to, send a notification message saying, hello, Harald, I just saw a new device. I put it in monitoring. Please check if you like it. Yeah, another option is auto-registration. Auto-registration is based on the Zabbix agent, and it works like this. You deploy per default the Zabbix agent, and when the Zabbix agent starts, it will connect to the Zabbix server or proxy, and will say, I'm the agent XYZ, and my role is, for example, I'm a MySQL server and a Linux system, and then Zabbix will say, fine, administrator created a rule for you guys and will put it automatically in monitoring. And also you can define rules and says if this system is offline for like 20 days, 30 days or whatever, then it should be removed, for example. You can set up these rules as well. The most powerful one though is low-level discovery. And basically that's the hot topic also in the trainings. And low-level discovery allows you to do the following. So you can discover dynamic entities. For example, on a Windows server, the services would be dynamic. So you might have a variable number of services, file systems, network interfaces, on a switch network interfaces. These are all entities that are dynamic, and low-level discovery can deal with them. If you look to virtualization platforms, it goes even further. For example, you connect to a virtual center management server, then the hypervisors would be dynamic discovered, and also the virtual machines would be discovered dynamically, and all this is done by low-level discovery. So it's really the holy grail of network monitoring, and it's able to create items, triggers, definitions, hosts, host groups, so there's really no limit. And the nice part is that you can write yourself discovery rules, low-level discovery rules. Basically, that is one part of our business, that we are creating low-level discovery rules for certain specific use cases. Data visualization. So in Zabbix, we have a web-based front end, and you can define as many dashboards as you like. They are not the same as Grafana, so to say, but they are also widget-based, and I like them a lot. And they are built in natively. So with this widget-based dashboards, as I said, you can define as many as you would like. You have widgets, a total of, I don't know, 20 widgets plus. There's even a widget API, so you can create widgets by yourself. And then you can, create this sort of dashboards, and you can define who has access rights to the dashboard, and so forth. So very, 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 very flexible and easy to use. You can use geomaps in Zabbix with a geo provider of your choice. And if you added the longitude and latitude params in your host inventor, then Zabbix will show immediately those in the map. Yeah, another cool widget in the dashboard is the map navigation tree widget on the left hand side here. This one is, and you can preset maps for your users, for your customers, and then they don't have to do something difficult. They just open your dashboard and then they click on those maps, and Zabbix will update anything for them and show even the number of issues and problems and so forth. And all the stuff is updated in real time. So you can even show metrics in real time. Finally, we have a reporting system built in Zabbix. You can create reports as you like with your report definition. And these reports are sent via email as a PDF file. Okay, more features, and we will do it in time. Business service monitoring. The idea is you have a complex service, and this complex service is based on a database server, on a cache server, on a web server, on 10 other servers, and they all build this particular service, and you can define business services in Zabbix and put them together and see if you have an issue within the service. So you have a service view, not only a component view. That is one thing. Security. Zabbix is secure, believe it or not. Take a photo from the slide. It will be provided to you later. I've just 1 minute left, so I go to the next one. It's really, really safe. And that is the Zabbix API. Any functionality in Zabbix is available through the very well documented Zabbix API. And the Zabbix API is a HTTP-based JSON RPC API. It's very easy to use. We provided also a GitHub repository, which makes things a little bit easier to use that API. And basically any function that you use in the front end is also available as an API function. You can create host items, delete them, ask for values, whatever you do. And because this great API is available, there are also a lot of third-party applications available for Zabbix in iOS and Android, where you can connect this app directly with Zabbix because it's using the API. And one cool part is it's backed by professional services. So you're not alone. You can ask Zabbix or the Zabbix partner of your choice if you need support. And if you are now keen on using Zabbix after 15 years, you come back, yeah? So you can go to the website and it will give you clear instructions of how to do it. Very easy to do. And the 10-minute mark is, it's 15 minutes, but it will work. Thank you. Yeah, so just in time.
Yeah, just in time. So thank you very much. Are there any questions?
I dare to have 2 questions.
Yes.
Perfect.
And you can also ask very technical questions. Like I said, I'm certified trainer and consultant, so I should be able to answer them.
All right. The Zabbix proxies.
Yes.
Are they load sharing, or do I define this proxy checks or this services and this proxy checks this services, or do I assign services to check to a proxy group and they make it out between themselves who is checking what?
Basically what you're asking for is whether the idea of the Zabbix proxies is some sort of a load balancing thing, where you can scale horizontally in a very flexible way, or if they are dedicated data collectors for a pre-configuration. Like for example, we've got a site A and we've got a site B, and we say site A should be monitored by proxy A and site B should be monitored by proxy B. And I think that was a question, right?
Yes.
Yes, and the answer to that is it's actually at that time and point, so we're talking about Zabbix 6.4, by the way, or 6.0 LTS version. It works this way, so you tell the proxy what to monitor and it will do it. And actually there's a long feature request, and that might find its way into Zabbix 7.0, and then this behavior will be more in the sense of that it's a horizontal scaling, in the sense of that other proxies can take over.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And the second question is, do you plan for a full Grafana UI integration?
Sorry?
A Grafana UI integration of Zabbix.
Yeah.
For example, in our company, Grafana is the umbrella UI. Everything has to integrate against it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. So Zabbix Zabbix provides the Zabbix API, and based on the Zabbix API, there are community-driven Grafana integrations available. So basically, what it looks like is that you have a Grafana data source, a Grafana implemented Zabbix data source. You configure that data source, and then through the API, you get access to all the stuff in Zabbix, and it really depends on the quality. For myself, have just played with this a little bit to get an idea about how it works and how reliable it is. Yeah, so I cannot tell you the latest development. It's a GitHub project, and I know from customers that it works. So it's straightforward.
Okay, we are running out of time. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, please catch him up at the hallway. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir.